Again, good day, good morning, good evening from wherever you are tuned in to this week's session on the Move to Cloud webinar series. Today and also next week, we're going to talk about the software asset management for you. What is it? How do I use it? What kind of benefits does it bring for me? And today I have Jigar and Christian as guests into our call. And with that, I would hand it over to Jigar. As usual, please put your questions in the Q&A box and we will answer it during the session or after we are finished it. With that, Jigar, the stage is all yours.
Thank you, Krenar. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SAM4U introduction session. In today's session, we will cover the prerequisites and how to effectively use SAM4U tool. As Krenar mentioned, the session is being recorded and the slides will be shared with everyone after the call. But I wanted to draw your attention to this disclaimer, which talks on a very high level about this presentation being confidential and for informational purposes only. It does not represent a commitment or guarantee from SAP, and its contents, including future plans or features, may change at any time. SAP is not liable for errors unless caused by serious misconduct. So this is a standard clause. A quick introduction. I am Jigar Gandhi, Adoption Insights and Services Manager from SAP North America. I have over 20 years of IT experience with expertise in SAP software asset management, license optimization, and adoption insights and services. I have my colleague Christian Morales, who will co-present the session with me today. So Chris, over to you for a quick introduction.
Perfect. Thank you, Jigar, Krenar, and thank you everyone for joining this presentation. As Jigar mentioned, my name is Christian Morales. I am part of the Adoption and Insight Services team for North America. I've been working with the IT industry for more than 21 years, 18 of those years with SAP and 15 helping customers measure and optimize their software, their licenses consumption through different services. The main one that we're presenting right now is the SAM4U, which is a tool that we want you to get to know, and of course, we want you to use as well. And first of all, I would like to do a quick poll to get your comments. So I appreciate if everyone can provide us with your comments. Just so you know, this is an anonymized poll. Of course, it is just to get your impressions. It is not factual data. It is just how you feel when you need to measure your licenses. Basically, the question is, do you have clear visibility into your company's software entitlement, meaning into the licenses that your company owns? And do you know exactly how much they're being used in your company? So I appreciate if you can take a few seconds answering that question. And again, this is just a perception. When I mean perception, for some customers may feel that they take 3 days and that could be too long. That could be a lot of time and effort. Some other customers, depending on the amount of products and systems, they may take a week or 2 weeks or more than that. And they could consider that this is not much effort. So again, it's just a perception. I already see a trend here. The first one is on the first answer. No, it takes a lot of time to gather this information. 43% has actually 44 now has responded that it takes time, that it is a big effort to do that. Only 18% of the respondents have mentioned that it is easy. They have full control and real-time visibility. And what are the licenses that the company owns and how are they using it? And 38% are not sure about it. So this will give us an idea of how difficult could it be in some cases, or how difficult can customer consider that it is to measure the what you're using, and also to know what are the licenses that you have. That's why we, SAP, and our team has created the SAM4U tool to help you identify that, to help you identify how many licenses you own, how many licenses you are entitled to use, and at the same time, how many licenses are you using? And we're gonna go over this in the following slides. So I'm not gonna spend much time on this poll. Thank you everyone for answering this question. And with that, I will hand it over to you, Jigar.
Thank you, Chris. So the agenda for today's call is to discuss about the overview of SAM4U tool and the prerequisites, talk about the challenges of managing licenses in a multiple SAP systems environment, discuss the key features of SAM4U tool, give a demo of the tool, and at the end, leave some time for Q&A. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, then please post the questions in the Q&A toolbox, and we will take it over. So SAM4U is SAP's software asset management tool that is offered as a complementary tool by SAP to all the customers. The primary goal of this tool is to provide a holistic view of the customer's license entitlement versus the consumption of the consolidated licenses. Now, along with the overview of your license compliance, it also gives you the capability of monitoring your users, HANA database, and engines, and also provides optimization opportunities for your named users, mainly by reviewing authorized versus the active use and checking users who have not been active in the system for maybe 90 days or 180 days or 1 year, and then terminating those users in the backend system. So it offers a end-to-end software asset management solution for effective license position. The tool can be deployed in customer's environment by simply implementing two nodes, the extractor node and the Fury app node. The extract node can be downloaded through the link here, which takes you to the SAP for Me portal. And this node has a user guide attached to it, which describes in detail the steps that are required to be executed after the node has been implemented. Mainly for the extraction program, it needs to be deployed on the development system and production system. On the development system, it reads the developer user information, that is the users that have developer use rights and users that have carried out any development workbench related activities over last 1 year. So they are classified as developers automatically with a program execution. And the other program that is on the production system, you need to extract the data for all the other information related to users, their roles and authorizations, and USMM file, which reads the engine information and packages everything into a zip file. So once your data has been extracted, it needs to be saved locally on your machine. And then you need to proceed with the step 2, that is executing the Fury application node, which basically can be downloaded through the SAP for Me portal here through this link. And this node needs to be deployed on a S/4HANA ABAP system with a version requirement of 753 or above. So for this, you don't need to necessarily deploy it on a production system. You can use a sandbox or a development or a test system, but it has to be on a S/4HANA ABAP system with the version of 753 and above. Again, this node also has a user guide attached to it, which describes in detail about the post-configuration steps that are required to be implemented after the node has been executed in the production system. Chris, over to you for the challenges of managing licenses in a multiple system landscape.
Thank you, Jigar. Appreciate it. Yeah, during those 15 years working with customers, again, as I always ask the customers how challenging, how difficult it is, we have been receiving a lot of feedback. And that is the feedback that we use to create this tool. So if you don't mind, if you can go to the following slide, Jigar. I have summarized the main ones, the main challenges. You can see that on the left of the screen. The first one is misclassification and over licensing. That's one of the main complaints or challenges that our customers identify is how difficult it is to classify the users. In some cases, they might be assigning a type of classification to the user that does not correspond to the actual use. Some other cases, some customers may mention that they want to be covered and they're licensing, let's say, more professional users just to make sure that they don't have any compliance issues. Even though they may not need it, they're licensing that. So that's one of the issues or the challenges that our customers have. On the other hand, assigning manual classification sometimes is not that easy. Of course, SAP, the systems may provide some technical tools to help you do mass classifications, but still you may need to go over specific information to see what are the actual classifications that your population or your users may be assigned. So sometimes that might not be as easy as it sounds. One other comment from our customers is when SAP is coming to audit, we don't know what is going to be measured. We don't know the processes that are going to be run. We don't know the outcome of the audit. We would like to see that beforehand, before having the actual audit. Some other customers mentioned that unfortunately they do not have a clear communication between the teams that are in charge of purchasing licenses versus the technical team. So in some cases, the technical team may deploy more licenses than the ones that they are entitled for, or it could be the other way. It could be that they are not using as many licenses as they are allowed to, just to make sure that they are in compliance. Of course, these create a lot of effort, manual effort, to create reports and to create processes internally to gather all the information and make sure that you are able to see in one hand what you're licensed for, in other hand what you're using, and compare if there is any type of compliance issue or if there is any opportunity to reallocate licenses. That's exactly what the SAM4U tool it's made for. The idea of this tool is to have an easy integration between all your systems, to have all the information in just one dashboard. And SAP provide this free of charge. There is no charge for any of these services. And it can be easily deployed in your systems by just implementing a couple of nodes, as you see here on the bottom left part of the presentation. We are already mentioning the nodes that are required for that. Jigar already mentioned as well that there is a structure portion and an application portion. So those are the two nodes that are required. On top of that, the security of the information is not an issue because this tool, it's 100% installed on your systems. No one else have access to this information, not even SAP. It's 100% on your systems. So data security is not an issue. And again, free support. Our team is ready to support you during the, of course, implementation phase and also during the analysis and after that. The idea of this is to empower you to make sure that you have a single stop tool that shows general information about what you're licensed for, about what you're using, and you can also drill down in detail about the specific information about users or engines or specific systems if you want to take a look at that. The idea is that also you have no more guessing when there is a license audit. When a license audit is being initiated, you already have the answers in that dashboard. You already know what you're going to be measured because the dashboard will tell you exactly what is the outcome or what is going to be the outcome of that of the audit process. Also, the tool would let you know what are those areas where you can improve your license consumption. And that's something that you will see in a few minutes during the live demo, how you can identify those areas where you can improve the license consumption. One of the things that I like very much about this tool, and again, I mean, this is something that Jigar will show you, it's at the same time, you will be able to see how much licenses you are entitled for. And next to it, you will see how many licenses are you using according to what the users are authorized, which is normally how SAP contracts work is we measure how your users are authorized. And on top of that, and this is a brand new feature that is included, is how your users would be classified according to the transactions that your users are actually executing. And that's information that is being captured for the last 3 months. That's the information that the tool will show you. If a user, let's say, just as an example, you classify a user as a professional because you thought that the user would consume financial transactions or would run financial transactions. But at the end of the day, the user only run self-service transactions. So you will see in that tool that the user, even though is classified because of what the user is authorized as a professional, most likely the user is going to be considered a self-service based on what the user is actually executing on the system. So that's in general terms what this tool it's made for. So just I think it makes more sense to jump in the live demo, which will give you more details. So again, Jigar, thank you, and over back to you.
All right. Thank you so much. And I'll give you a demo of the tool, but meanwhile, just give me a minute. I'll get the system ready for the tool demo. Okay, so all right. So when you implement the extraction node on the development and production systems, and then the Fury app node on the S/4HANA ABAP system, after you have implemented the Fury app node, you enter the transaction code /n/SAM4U/start on the ABAP system, and it opens up this SAM4U tool. And this is a landing page where you see the dashboard, which gives you an overview of the systems that you have consolidated, the users that you have licensed, and the engines that are measured. And here you see the details about the users that are consolidated from the three systems here, as you see, that it has measured 580 dialog users, and with the breakdown of the users here shown for each license types. The overview also shows you the classified versus the dialog users, and at the bottom you can see the HANA database measurements, mainly the peak memory consumption that is measured through the last 12 months and then identified as the peak memory over last 1 year. So you can easily go through the respective user list through the chart here, and it shows you all the users that have been classified as GB in the current classification. It reads their authorizations and then classifies them in the S4 target classification based on the star rule set. So when you install the Fury app, the first thing you need to do is look at the administration section, where you need to set up the RFC connection if you'd like to have a connection established between the Fury app and the backend tool. Upload the authorization rule set management. This is basically the star rule set, which has the mapping of the authorization objects and activities tied to the S/4HANA use types. You can click on the upload authorization rule set here and upload the rule set, which will then be used for reading the authorizations of the users from the consolidation user list and then classify the users to the S4 target classification. The license entitlement management is the customer license entitlement sheet that we provide as part of the service. So it is basically a complete list of all the user and engine licenses or any SAP licenses that the customer may have purchased. Right from the day they signed the SAP contract until today, everything has been maintained up to date by our contract experts. And that file is shared with the customer. And the file needs to be uploaded here by clicking on Upload CLE file. So this Upload CLE file will bring in all the license entitlements for the customer, and you would be able to see those entitlement details here in the overview and terminate section. And these entitlements are further used for the user engine and HANA database reporting. And then the file transfer monitor is when you upload a file on the Fury app manually, then you can see the status here. So after you have done some administrative tasks, you go to the landscape and you click on the upload file. So basically, when you click on the upload file, it then points you to the zip file that you have downloaded from the extraction program. And when you upload the file, it'll bring in the data of your extraction program. So mainly, it'll read the data about the system, the SID, and the system type, and it'll show you the information that it read through the extraction program. So in this case, for QAY test, you can see that developer information were read, and it shows you that 499 developers were uploaded or measured on that system. And this is the date when the data was updated. So you can further go into this system and you can see how the data was transferred. It was through a remote data set. It also shows you the segment that it collected. It read developer information, and it shows you all the details. So let's assume you have 5 such systems. You click on upload file and you bring in the data for all the systems here, mainly your development and production systems. And you have the information here about the users, engines, developers, all of those information from those systems. After you have uploaded all the zip file, then you go to the consolidation section and you create a consolidation. So you click on create consolidation and then select the systems that you'd like to consolidate. Give the consolidation name, and the default criteria for consolidation is user ID. So it consolidates the data based on the user ID, and you see the consolidation created here. And you can mark this consolidation as active by selecting it and by clicking on the star icon. So you can also switch the consolidation here through a shortcut at the top. You can see here demo. Right now the demo consolidation selected, but you can select test and then it'll change the data based on this test consolidation. So here on the analytics section, you have the reports for users, engines, and HANA database. So when you click on the users, it shows you details about the user consolidation from those 3 systems. And it shows you, again, an overview about the dialog users, the users' license entitlements, the classified versus dialog users, user types, communication, dialog, reference, service, and system users, total inactive users across all the systems that have been consolidated, and the locked users that are still consuming licenses. If you have a development system in your consolidation, it'll also read the developer information and it'll show you the information here for active developers. In this case, we do not have any active developers. If there are any deleted users, they will appear here. So this is about the overview. Now the authorizations is mainly leveraging the star rule set that we uploaded here in the authorization rule set management, and using that authorization rule set management, it reads the authorizations of all the users and classifies them under advanced, core, or self-service based on the S4 target classification. That is based on the authorizations that are available with those users. This table also shows you the current classification. That is how they are classified in the SAP system right now. And based on the authorizations available, how they would be classified. And you can also see the details here when you click on the user. You see the information about the user, the current classification, how it is classified as manually classified, and based on the authorizations available, it should be classified as core use. Further, you can go down to the role level and see what roles are assigned to the user, and based on those roles available, what is the target classification. So this user has roles for functional use and productivity use. And then you can also see why this role is classified as functional in the S4 target classification, because it has certain authorization object that fall under the functional category. Or maybe you can also drill down and select functional here and see that there is this authorization object and activity, making it as functional use. So this is with respect to the authorizations available. Now, SAM4U tool also gives you a view of the transaction codes executed by the user over last 90 days. So this active usage report here shows you the table that based on the authorizations that are available, the user may be classified as professional or core. So in this case, this user has a current classification as professional use. It has authorizations to execute advanced use. Therefore, in the S4 target classification, it will be marked as advanced. However, the user over last 90 days has executed certain transaction codes and authorizations that fall under the active use, that fall under the core use. So you can again drill down at the authorization level. So here you can see that this user executed certain reports and transactions that belong to the functional use. And because this SC38 has certain authorization object with activities that belong to the functional use. So the security admin can make use of this report to see what users are authorized versus what they are actively using in the system over last 90 days, and then fine tune the roles and authorizations to remove additional authorizations that have never been used or not needed by the user. So that way, lowering down the authorization will help you reclassify the user. The license consumption report shows you a compliance view of your user licenses. It shows you how many license units you have versus what is being measured from the consolidation, and it shows you the delta. In this case, you can see that you have HZ with 100 licenses, you measured for 496. So there's a gap of 396 licenses. Whereas for all the others, you don't have any licenses. And from the consolidation, these are the measured units. So there's a delta here. The inactive users shows you the users who have not logged on to the system over last 90 days. You may change it to 200 days and run the report again. So it'll show you all the users who did not log into the SAP system over last 200 days. And it also shows you the days of inactive duration. And they are still consuming licenses, as you can see the current classification here. So your user administrator can download this report. Everything is exportable by Excel icon here. When you click on this, it downloads everything to Excel file, and they can terminate the users in the backend system and free up the licenses. Similarly, the locked users report shows you the users that are locked in the system. It also shows you the lock type. Now, there could be a locked user due to incorrect logons. So maybe a user has forgotten the password, so that is fine. But there are some users that are locked by the administrator. So this could be a case where a customer has a user who left the organization and the user administrator locked them, but did not terminate the user properly. And you can see that they are currently consuming a license. So the user administrator can terminate the user in the backend system and free up the licenses. So this was the overall functionality on the user reporting. With respect to engines, Your extraction data also reads the USMM file, so it gathers the USMM information, mainly the engine use, and consolidates everything and brings the consolidated engine measurements here. So in the measurable engines, you see all the engines that are measured and consolidated through the USMM file, and you see the details about the engine ID, the blocks in which the engines are sold, the metric for which the engine is licensed, license unit. The license unit comes from the license entitlement, which we upload through a CLE file here. So those licensed entitlements or license unit, they come from the CLE file, and the measured amount, it comes from the consolidation of all the USMM files through the extraction program. And it shows you what you're licensed versus what is being measured and the delta. In this case, you have some license surplus as you're licensed for some products, but nothing is being measured. Whereas at the bottom, you see that there are some licenses or you don't have any licenses, whereas there are certain products that are being measured in the consolidation. So there's a delta here of negative quantities. With respect to HANA database, you can also upload a HANA XML file that basically reads your HANA database memory, and the tool shows you the consumption of last 12 months of your HANA database, and it measures the peak memory, which is a metric for your HANA database measurement. And at the bottom, you can see the details about those months and the measured value. So your database admin can monitor the database usage, and all of a sudden, if he sees, a spike in the memory consumption, he can look into the database for any fine tuning of database. Again, the table here shows how many license units you have versus what is being measured and the delta. Coming to license entitlements, this overall section here shows you all the licenses that you own. And this is again coming from the CLE file that is uploaded. It brings in all the data from customers' SAP contracts and licenses. And you can see it in a nice readable format, and everything is downloadable here through an Excel icon. You see the details here about the material ID, the material description, the user or the engine ID, the blocks in which the material is sold, the metric, and the end date of the contract, and the license unit. If the product is a self-declared product, it will be marked as self-declared here. When you click on this chart, it shows you the licenses that were purchased, the order number in which this license was signed, and you also have different views available. So you can click on group by material. So you can see for each material how many licenses were purchased through different order forms. And you can also group it by order. So you can see in individual order what were the licenses purchased. There's also a section here for terminated and extended licenses, which shows you if there were any licenses that were purchased and terminated or any licenses that were extended. So again, when you click on the chart, it shows you that 700 licenses were purchased through this order form in 2012, and then 700 licenses were returned in 2017 through this order form. So this is the overall functionality of the SAM4U tool, where you get insights about the users, engines, and HANA database. And there are optimization scenarios that we just talked about regarding the inactive users, the active versus the authorized use, and the locked users, where you can clean up your system and users and reclassify your users accordingly. All right, so I think we are good with the demo of the tool. Chris, do you want to start with the Q&A?
Yes, absolutely. I have been already answering a few questions here. So let me read the question for you, Jigar. Should we choose an SAP system, for instance, Focus Run, that has connection with most of all other systems in the landscape for deploying SAM4U? Is it a recommended approach to save efforts in extracting integrated system data?
Yes, absolutely. If you have a system that meets the Fury app version requirement and that has the backend connection to your other systems, it is advisable to use that system. But the main requirement here is to have the Fury app deployed on the S4 HANA system uh, that meets the version requirement of 753 or above.
Perfect. Thank you, Jigar. Um, Someone asking, I have a question for prerequisite for 329-2019. So please feel free to send the question.
I
We
think
can
it's further
answer.
below. It's further below, right? You see here, my version of SAP Basis
Oh,
is 757. I think those are connected question.
yes, thank you. Appreciate it. Yes, my version of SAP Basis is 757 with patch 02. But
So
as per node 3292019, I need to implement the OSS node and apply the TCI package related to my SAP Basis version.
mhm. Yes, so the requirement here is to install uh, or have your system to the required version and the service pack level, and then implement the TCI node. So you have to follow the guides in the node and make sure that you're on the same version level and you meet the service pack requirements, and then implement the TCI node to proceed with the implementation of the node.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, let me check. I have another question here. Can we consolidate with email address?
As of now, the criteria is to use only user ID, but we are gathering feedback, and yes, we may implement the consolidation by email ID as an option for the future releases.
Perfect. Thank you. We also have this one. I already answered one when I mentioned the structure node is available for ECC systems, but the Fiori app needs a HANA platform. So the reply with another question is there any plans to make these available on ECC or on tools like Cloud ALM?
So this is a customer facing tool or a tool designed for the customer, and it's deployed completely in the customer's environment on ABAP systems. As of now, um, we don't have any plans to integrate it to the cloud, but yes, we are gathering feedback, and if we see that there's a demand, we may think about any further developments in the future.
Thank you. Following question, I think you already covered. Is SAM4U available in the Cloud ALM?
No, it doesn't have any connection to the cloud, or it doesn't really gather or measure any cloud products.
Thank you. One more question. Will it also show optimization analysis for ECC licenses, or is it only for S/4HANA licenses?
So in terms of the authorizations, it uses a star rule set, which is looking forward to the S4 target classification. But in terms of the optimization for the users, you can still look at the users who have been inactive in the system over the last 90 days and clean up your user base in the ECC system.
Thank you. Following question is, how does the structure of SAM4U being available for NetWeaver Systems 7.3 and upward, and the measurement of engines and HANA databases relate to another?
So basically, your user information is measured. I mean, there's an extraction program which basically reads all the users and user information, their authorizations, and there's a star rule set that looks for matching the rule set and classifies them in the S4 target classification. Whereas for the HANA database, there's an XML file that is being read That's a separate process that you need to upload the XML file separately onto the tool. And for the engines, again, it reads the USMM information to read the engine information and consolidate it to produce the engine results. So based on the different components and different uh, methods by which the metric is calculated, it's a different process.
Perfect. Thank you, Jigar. So following question is, sorry, this one has been already answered. So SAP K75700 ECP subbasis is the TCI package for my subbasis 757 patch 2. When I
Mhm.
go to the TCI package, the required component version says minimum subbasis 757 patch 3, patch 03, but we cannot upgrade the subbasis alone.
Mhm. So you have to adhere to the guide because there is a version requirement, there is a service pack level requirement, as well as a TCI note implementation requirement. Only if you fulfill those criteria, you would be implemented. Unfortunately, if you don't meet those criteria, you have to upgrade your system. However, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us and we can try to support you case by case.
Thank you. I was about to mention that as well, that right after this presentation, you will be able to have the recording and the presentation. Jigar and my email will be included. We will be more than happy to take any follow-up meetings to go forward on any of the requirements that you have regarding this note. So we have one more question from Satya. If we implement the note 3292019 via S node as per the correction instructions, it says it will add entry for SAP K75700 ECP subbasis. So does just applying the node with S node is enough?
So again, the requirement is to have the S note implemented and the TCI package implemented. So go through the requirements. And as I said, if you have any questions, we are there to help you.
Thank you. Following question is, our parent company holds the contract. We need an own view or option to select the different sister companies with their,
Mhm.
with their systems in order to allocate their consumption and corresponding cost. Is it possible within the consolidation? Could we create own analysis and groups or systems by sister companies? If not, will that be implemented soon?
So you have an option to create multiple consolidations within the SAM tool. Now, you may have one consolidation based on the country-specific consolidation, or you may have a parent consolidation, whereas some other consolidations that may have only a few entities covered. So you can have multiple views and different consolidations available within SAM4U tool.
Thank you. One more question from Satya. Do we need to apply node and upgrade the sub-bases 757? So this might be related to his prior question. To upgrade to this SAP basis 757 to patch 3 as prerequisite for package SAP K75700 ECP sub-basis and install the TCI package?
So in this case, we will have to review the system version requirements and go through the uh, requirements in the node, specifically looking at that 757 version and the service pack requirements, and then we can address this question.
Perfect. Following question is this HANA version as being the database platform or S4 HANA version? From the note I get, SAP underscore basis 753 dash 758.
Sorry, I'm not very clear with this question. So are you talking about the HANA database measurement? So it requires the export.
Yes,
So it requires an export from the HANA database studio in the XML format, and you need to upload it in the SAM4U tool through the upload functionality in the landscape section.
perfect. I have another one here. Is there any PDF document with the steps to implement and execute report using SAM4U?
Yes, so both the notes have a user guide attached, which is a comprehensive guide for all the steps that you need to um, perform after the notes have been implemented.
Thank you, Jigar. Following question is, where will you see the processors transactions that spike the HANA database?
So the XML file gathers the data from your HANA database, which basically shows you the 12 months of your HANA database usage, and then you can see for which month there was a peak memory consumption. It just shows you on a very high level that for this month there was a memory consumption that was very high, and then your database admin need to log into your database and fine tune the database. It doesn't show you details about the tables that really elevated the database usage.
Thank you, Jigar. Following question is, can you set up alerts, for instance, when licenses have been ideal for a period of times?
So if I'm getting this correct, do you mean you need to set the alert for the users who are not active in the system? Or what kind of alert
Um,
are you looking for?
yeah, my understanding is that is basically to set up alerts on the SAM4U tool um, to understand if the consumption is under certain, KPIs that are established by the customer.
Yeah, so as of now, the alerting feature is not available. However, you can monitor your usage and you can, because it's based on the static data, every time you need to bring in new data to see the new reports. So based on how you're scheduling your data refresh in your SAM4U tool, and then you can keep on monitoring your SAM4U tool. But as of now, there's no alerting mechanism.
Thank you. Following question is, can you set up alerts when users get locked?
No, unfortunately, like I said, the alerting mechanism is not available. You have to log into the tool and you need to manually view the report.
Next one is, does the tool support also open text licenses purchases via SAP agreement?
So it really depends on um, open text. It's basically maybe if it's there, it would be appear in the self declaration section. So in the engine section, there were three tabs. One is the measurable engine, the engine indicators, and the self declaration product. So you have to manually maintain the open text consumption there.
Thank you. Following question is SAM4U available in the cloud ALM? I think this one was
You
already.
already answered this.
Yep. Mhm. How similar is the extractor node to the star report?
So the extractor node basically extracts the information that is relevant for your software asset management. It mainly reads the data about your developer users from the development system, and from the production system, it reads all the information about your users, your roles and authorizations, the active user information, the USMM file that gives you information about your engine consumption, and it gives you an overview of your license consumption based on all this information that is gathered. Whereas the star node, it's mainly focused on the authorizations that are available with the user. So it has a mapping of the authorization objects and activities tied to the S/4HANA use type only.
Perfect. Next question is, any potential automation to import a HANA memory files?
No, unfortunately not, because as you see, the RFC connection you establish it is at the ABAP level, whereas the data extract that you do for the HANA database, it is at the database level from the HANA Studio. So you cannot automate the extraction of HANA XML file.
Perfect. Next question is, can the extracts be done from client 000 since it uses a productive client flag?
So yeah, it really depends on what you're setting up your system as a production. But for you to do an extract, you need to run the extraction program, and really what you think is productive, you deploy the extraction node there and run the extraction program. So it's a manual step where you extract the data and it packages everything into a zip file on your local system, and then you upload it into the Fury app.
Thank you. The next question is there any plans to replace down and uploads by APIs in the future?
So yes, we are gathering feedback, and if this is an important feature, we may include this in the following releases. But yeah, as of now, the tool does not have that capability.
Perfect. Next question is related to public cloud products. When will public cloud products be available on SAM4U? SAP for me does not meet our needs.
So as of now, the tool does not cover public cloud products, and yeah, so again, it's based on the feedback and the request from the customer. If this is a high priority, maybe we can think of the developments in the future.
Thank you. Following question is, do I need to run USMM first in order to have engine data available?
Yes, so when you run the extraction program on the production system, it checks the last USMM run. And if the USMM is older than 30 days, it prompts you to run the USMM. So when you're running the extraction program, this check is already enabled where it checks for the last USMM run. And if it's not, it's older than 30 days, and you have to re-execute the USMM before running the extraction program.
Thank you, Jigar. And this is the last question that we have. Does the tool also include indirect licenses?
So no, as of now, the tool only measures your users, engines, and HANA database. With respect to indirect licensing, there is a digital access node, which is a separate process that is outside of the SAM4U tool.
Perfect. And with that, we covered already all the questions.
Okay, that was a lot of questions actually, and very well answered, Christian and Jigar. So, if there are not any more questions, I want to make you aware of next week's session where we also will talk about the software asset manager for you. We will talk about the latest features, roadmap, and how to influence. So happy if all of you could join us in our next week's sessions. And if there are not any questions anymore, I see that we already are top of the hour. I would thank Christian and Jigar. Thank you for today's session. Thank you for answering all the questions we had today. Very informative, and looking forward to our next week's session on the software asset manager for you. And with that, just as information, we will upload the recording and the PDF into our Move to Cloud ERP YouTube channel. You should all know about it. If you don't know about it, let me quickly paste the link into the chat, because that is our YouTube channel where we would upload all the recordings and the PDF documents. I just enter it in the chat so that you can find it. And with that, hopefully we'll see you all next week into our sessions. Thank you again to Christian and Jigar. I wish you all a happy Tuesday and a good rest of the week, and talk to you latest next week. With that, thank you again. Have a wonderful rest of the day.